All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Andre Ward attacks Deontay Wilder for no good reason, blaming him for things that could not possibly be his fault and saying things that just did not make sense. Let's talk about what Andre Ward said about Deontay Wilder in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So I woke up. Well, last night I got an email from a subscriber. Shout out to you. You know who you are, man. We definitely gonna chop it up this weekend, this week. And it was to go check out a interview that Andre Ward did about the Teofimo Lopez versus Vasily Lomachenko fight that's coming up Saturday. And in a section, he's asked about Deontay Wilder and he gives his opinion. Before I get into the details of it, let me tell you what my thoughts are of it. And I want to be as fair as I can be to Andre Ward because I really do like Andre Ward. I think highly of Andre Ward. I respect Andre Ward. So I want to make this video as clean as I can, but at the same time be honest in telling you that I think that he's absolutely positively full of it. Because he's being a company man here. What he's saying doesn't make sense. And it's just a completely concocted, scripted argument that he made on a podcast, and I give it absolutely no weight whatsoever. But at the same time, I say that I understand that he works for ESPN, and that's what his job is, to do this on occasion. But what he said absolutely was ridiculous. And let me go through it. And I'm going to be as fair as I can be to him. I'm not going to talk bad about him. I'm not going to call him this, call him that, or the other thing, because again, I think that I look up to Andre Ward as a person. I think that he is an excellent fighter. I think that he's an excellent professional. I appreciate what I can see from him on the outside looking in as a family man. I think that he represents the sport very well. He represents himself very well. But at the same time, he's just kind of full of it on this one. And I think it's because he's reading off of a script. And the script this time didn't come off too clean. So let's walk down his script. First thing, he was asked about Tyson Fury pulling out of the fight between he and Deontay Wilder. Now, I want to be clear here that that's what he was asked. He wasn't asked anything else. That's what he said. That's the only question he was asked. What do you think about Tyson Fury pulling out of the Deontay Wilder fight? He then proceeded to answer in this manner. First, I don't know any of the particulars, but I think that there was a deadline and the deadline passed. Right? That's the first thing that he said. December has come and gone. That's point one. And we will get to point one. Watch this whole video because we're going to go through point one. And I'm telling you, it was this scripted where I literally could write down the points and say, okay, somebody told him to say this, and say this. And actually, I do believe I saw him looking down at the notes. Okay. It was that scripted. And that's why I just have no regard for it whatsoever. So what he said after that is December has come and gone. Well, you know, December is not come and gone, but Tyson Fury knows that December will come and go. So he's out. Right. Then the second thing he moves on to, and he says, but look, it's going to be difficult for Deontay Wilder to rebound from this. And then he starts talking about why it would be hard for Deontay Wilder to rebound from this. And then the next point that he says is, they ask him, oh, do you think Deontay Wilder is humbled? And he said, yes, absolutely. Deontay Wilder is absolutely humbled. And then he talks about Glovegate. He's not asked about Glovegate. He just brings it up and says, I don't believe in Glovegate because, you know, I haven't seen anything. But if somebody brings out something, then that should be considered. Very nice scripted answer. And then he goes on to say about Deontay Wilder. Watch this. Tyson Fury pulling out of the fight. He says that he, Andre Ward, had predicted that beforehand. That's the lie. But let's go through each one of these. And I said I'm going to go through each one. So the first thing that he says is, He did a terrible job of defending Tyson Fury by saying the December deadline, right? Let me help you here, Andre. That's the same exact argument that Bob Arum gave exactly. And Bob Arum didn't believe it when he said it, and you don't believe it when you said it. Because it is now, right now, October. It is October. And Shelly Finkel has said in public that Deontay Wilder will fight in December. So if you have until the end of December, he has to fight on any day in December. It doesn't matter if it's a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, doesn't matter. But Andre Ward says, well, it's not going to happen because of college football. Who cares? There's not college football games on Tuesday. Any day in December, that fight can happen if Deontay Wilder. And if Deontay Wilder doesn't want to earn a bunch of money because he doesn't want to give up that fight, that's his right. So, number one, get out of here with that. But that, again, is not Andre Ward's point. That is the same point that Bob Arum made in an interview, dang near verbatim. That is scripted. So then what is the second? What did he move on to after that, right? He then moves on to talk about how Deontay Wilder is damaged from this because he is quiet and he hasn't said anything. Andre Ward, you need to stop. If you have not talked to Deontay Wilder yourself, you don't know what's going on in Deontay Wilder's mind. And that is very, very unfair because you don't know. But you switched the conversation from why did Deontay Wilder, and see, this is why I'm saying it's scripted, because sometimes when you think you over practice and you write your outlines and they give you your talking points, the transitions don't make sense. So when he transitioned to Deontay Wilder and Deontay Wilder being broken, he didn't say broken, but he said humbled and affected, and it's going to take a long time. Dude, Deontay Wilder said he wants to fight. What does that have to do with Tyson Fury pulling out of the fight? Nothing. That's all you did was shift from Tyson Fury pulling out of the fight to start dumping on Deontay Wilder and talking about Deontay Wilder and how Deontay Wilder is going to take a long time for Deontay Wilder to recover. And Deontay Wilder's been quiet. You haven't heard from him. Also, scripted responses that you've heard throughout the week from other ESPN outlets, another company line. So, number one was the company line that Tyson Fury is moving on. The contract has expired. How can a contract expire, Andre, in October when it expires in December? You're not stupid. Okay? And since you're not stupid, don't play other people like they're stupid. Okay? Or, let me rephrase this. Play other people like they're stupid because ESPN is asking you to do it, but understand and not take it personally when people call you out for trying to play people stupid. Because whether or not Deontay Wilder is not speaking or whether or not Deontay Wilder has been humbled has nothing to do with the question that you were asked, which was, did Tyson Fury, what do you think about Tyson Fury pulling out of the fight? Now, let's go to the Glovegate thing, which he wasn't even asked about. He wasn't even asked about. Why in the middle of an argument, a conversation about Tyson Fury pulling out of a fight, right? When he's violating this man's contract, why are you bringing up excuses that Deontay Wilder has not made? Deontay Wilder never said any of that. You've never heard that fellow champion say any of that, but yet you are responding to it as if you did. That is dishonest, Andre Ward. That is dishonest. That is dishonest double talk. Because you know, number one, that the whole question didn't have anything to do with Glovegate, and you brought it up as a way to smear Deontay Wilder, despite the fact that you have never even talked to him, Mr. Ward, and you need to be, again, ashamed of yourself. Because you are doing to him what the media has done to other fighters. And they didn't even ask you in the interview. It was like you came just to say it. However, no disrespect, but again, if you say you've not seen anything about Glovegate, But if something comes out that you see, then maybe he should be sanctioned, but you haven't seen anything. All you hear is stuff on it. Why are you defending Tyson Fury? All what you did right there was defend him. So number one, what you did is you answered the question and defended Tyson Fury breaking his contract. Then you go into Deontay Wilder being damaged. I guess you were implying that Deontay Wilder doesn't even deserve the fight because he's hurt, he's wounded, right? So it's probably for the good of Deontay Wilder that Tyson Fury is cheating him out of $40 million by dropping out of the fight, Andre. You then move forward to basically connect him to allegations that other people made about Tyson Fury and not even him. It is very underhanded, Andre Ward, very underhanded. And then the last thing, dude. You lied, Andre Ward, because you took credit for saying something that you were wrong about. Andre Ward said that he took a lot of pressure after the second fight because he didn't think Deontay Wilder would want another fight. And you took a lot of pressure for that, right? Ain't that? This is what Andre Ward said in this interview. Andre Ward, you're being dishonest. You said that after the first fight, not the second. You said it after the first fight, that when it was a draw, that Deontay Wilder will not want any more of that, and that we should just look forward to Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. The same thing ESPN and guys are saying right now. But what happened? Deontay Wilder, after Andre Ward said that, exercised his rematch clause and did want that fight. Then what happened? Tyson Fury pulled out of the fight. So Andre, you're being dishonest, or you're not remembering correctly, one or the other. But whichever one it is, you're not telling the truth. You might not be lying, but what came out of your mouth is not the truth. You took a dump on Deontay Wilder after the first fight, and then Tyson Fury ducked the rematch. You're now acting as if you said it after the second fight, which is not true. And now you're still acting like it's Tyson Fury that's not ducking the rematch, that is Deontay Wilder that's pulling out. Otherwise, why would you be bringing it up? I'm disappointed in Andre Ward for that. I'm disappointed in him. You are doing a company man act, and you did not do a very good job. Work on your transitions. When somebody sends you some talking points to crap on Deontay Wilder, ask them, hey, man, what should I say if they say this? What should I say if I say that? And give you a better script to read from, because that was a script, my friend, and it was a disrespectful script, and it's the same script the rest of you top-ranked people are on to justify the mistreatment of Deontay Wilder. And like Andre Ward, you need to be ashamed of yourself. That's what I think about the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.